Good day, class. So, to continue with our discussion, now we'll talk about creative writing versus scientific writing. So, in your last activities, you have compared creative writing with other types of writing, such as technical writing, journalism, and academic writing. Now, I'm going to share to you how Goldbort, from his Writing in Science, in 2006 described the difference between creative writing and scientific writing. Let's start off with this image. So imagine yourself as a scientific writer. What perhaps would you write when you see this image? If, let's say, you're a biologist, perhaps you will discuss about plant reproduction, and you will call these as agents or pollinators, the bee, and then how it transfer pollen from one flower to another. So that could be a topic that you would discuss. Or if you are a creative writer and you see this image, perhaps you'll be inspired to write a song or a poem or anything that reminds you of the beauty of nature. So there it is. Um, Imagine yourself now as a creative writer, and you will see the difference between creative writers and scientific writers. So these two are distinct in characteristics. Let's start with its purpose. So the main purpose of creative writing is for expression of feelings, emotions, um, and anything that expresses usually the soul. It reaches the soul, the emotion. And some creative writing also deals with exposition of a certain topic. So later I'm going to share to you the different types of creative writing. So you will see how people use it to express and expose. Now, for scientific writing, its main goal is to communicate studies, facts, or collection of information, and how one researcher or scientist arrives at a particular conclusion. Usually, it's a product of study, research, and anyone who used the scientific method, such as college researchers. So you're doing um, a scientific writing when you make use of these scientific method in your writing. Generality, typically more general rather than highly specific and detailed. Those are what we call in literature, it's universality. So universality as in creative writing pieces can be relevant, relatable to anyone from different countries, different places, different walks of life, different ages. So for scientific writing, it only um, well, not all people find it you know useful in their lives, but it actually deals with a specific audience, a specific type of content, only for, let's say, for biologists, for medical doctors. So it has a specific content and terms. The terms used here is not for the general public. So it's actually mentioned in the next characteristic audience. So the audience for creative writing is, well, as I've said, it has this quality called universality. So anyone from any age could relate to a particular song or story or drama, while scientific writings, it's a specific audience, usually well, the academic community, the scientific community, group of doctors or scientists. For Writer versus subject. Well, creative writing pieces are more personal, subjective. There are also objective types of creative writings pieces, while scientific writing is more impersonal, objective oriented. Now, as you notice, when you do research, we discourage the um, researchers to use I in their study, instead to refer to themselves as the researchers. So it's quite impersonal, and it's more focused on what it is that you would present. So when you talk about, let's say, Galileo or any other scientist, you really do not dig deep about their love life or personal life. But for scientific writing, it just tells us about their discoveries, their inventions, and what they have found out, their studies. So when it comes to format, well, creative writing is freestyle. So you can really, there's no specific guideline set for creative writing, especially for poems, and it's really very creative. It doesn't follow a strict format. While in scientific writing, um, as I mentioned, research papers, scientific papers are more strict when it comes to following a format, and usually it has headings, labels, subheadings, and numerous and strict format to follow for scientific writing. Well, for forms versus content. Hmm. So for creative writing, it's usually designed, okay? It's form and it's the way it's constructed. The content is for aesthetic objectives, for entertainment, for leisure purposes. Well, for our course, I hope that this will still be considered. Yeah, the activities that you'll do here will be a part of, yes, your leisure, and you'll find writing poems, songs, and others. Of course, you can choose, as I mentioned in the next characteristic, reader interest. So it's designed for your personal interest, for your reader's interest. So unlike scientific writing, it's really for a specific scientific, it's constrained by scientific content and purpose. Usually the scientific purpose includes to update, to share what you have observed and come up with a conclusion, will with a reliable conclusion by making sure that you have gone through the scientific process. And what else? Yeah, to communicate what what's important to discover or to learn about science, any field in science. For example, in biology, you want to define, describe, yeah, your cells, your the body cells, and you want to put it in writing or do a research about it. So it's it has its objective scientific um, purpose, and it's inclined to communicate your study or observation, not really for leisure or entertainment. Now, for reader interest, well, it's the readers who will self select which they want to read about in scientific writing. When it comes to accuracy and clarity, it's not really a central requirement in creative writing, since it's an imaginative type of writing, meaning to say some are, not just some, but it's fictional. So it could be a story, a love story, which is not really true, but if you want to write about it, so you can vividly describe something which is not really true or real. While in scientific writing, it's very important that what you will write about should be true, should be based on something, based on a fact, or If you are a researcher, you have gone through the scientific process to uh, show that your conclusion is based from a reliable research method. You've used a reliable, um, you have supporting evidence and claims for your claims and others. So accuracy and clarity is very important in scientific writing. So it's more although the voice is passive, but it's more direct. You don't use imaginative and made up, descriptions. While when it comes to creative writing, you can do that, especially if you are, a story writer, a songwriter, a poet. But this is also one thing I learned from a composer himself, that accuracy and clarity is also important in creative writing in such a way that you want to accurately and clearly describe a feeling or an emotion. Let's say in a song that you have composed, you really want the listener to understand the kind of love that you want to communicate or express in the song. So if your song is unclear, the message of the song is unclear, so I think it would not be effective. um it wouldn't, be relatable to your listeners. So I guess that could be one way to describe accuracy and clarity in creative writing. Now, for, as I mentioned, passive voice. So creative writing is not direct as compared to other prose, okay, like scientific writings. And source of material for creative writing, it could just be the writer's emotion, knowledge, and experience. But for scientific writing, it should be based on other scientific studies, or for a research paper, you have to go through the scientific process and so on. So for graphics, for creative writing, any types of creative writing pieces could use image visuals to, to for audiovisual learners, for audiovisual people. You want to make your imagination more vivid by making, or by showing graphics to the readers or listeners or viewers. While for scientific writing, well, the graphics are used, or it's included for empirical demonstration. Let's say you are describing the water cycle, and you're going to draw an image to and use arrows and other drawings to clearly show or support, um, yeah, the description of the life or water or any life process cycles. So those are the purposes and difference of creative writing, and its difference with the scientific writing. It's different from scientific writing in its purpose, in the materials used, in generality, and of course in the audience you want to reach in your in your writing. So I hope that now you are ready, and you're um, what do you call this, you are motivated to write how you feel and express your emotions, your share your experiences through the challenges or writing challenges that you will have in this course. So I hope that you will just take this activities lightly, as it could actually help you feel more relaxed, hopefully, and not stress about creative writing outputs that you will do in our next activities. So I hope you have learned the difference between creative writing and its difference with other forms of writing. I will discuss next the different types of creative writing.